CVM TV's unbeatable small business advertising package. Trust me.
And get your goods and services in front of your customers today.
For $150,000, you get a high-quality professional commercial.
Plus 20 prime-time commercial spots.
That's massive exposure at a fraction of the cost.
Including on the #1 morning show in Jamaica, Sunrise.
So don't wait. Call us on 658-208-5377 and see your business goals happen right here on CVM Television.
This is CVM News at noon for Wednesday, May 28, 2025. I am Curlin Brown. Thanks so much for joining us. With a number of sewage treatment infrastructure across the island in need of repairs, the Minister without a portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Senator Matthew Samuda, during his sectoral debate presentation, laid out plans the government has to fix major issues.
We expect to expand and improve the capacity this year of the Soapberry treatment plant, doubling its capacity and moving it to tertiary treatment. The member from Kingston Western will be happy when we get into the line plans for the improvements in West Kingston, which are 30 years overdue, Madam Speaker. We have also committed and have started the process through the PIAB process to facilitate the relocation, Madam Speaker, you'll be happy to hear this, of not just the Negril sewage plant, but we intend to relocate the Harbourview sewage plant for the citizens of Harbourview, and we are well advanced in the design process. We have also given our commitment in Eastern St. Andrew for the relocation of Long Mountain sewage lines that should have never been there, as well as we have given the commitment, Member Jackson, for the improvement, restoration, and significant increase in allocations to maintenance for the Portmore sewage pond.
Meanwhile, in a bid to increase productivity in hard-to-reach farming zones, the Minister of Agriculture, Floyd Green, is set to distribute new tractors, bringing an increase to the national fleet, surpassing what he says was inherited with the office.
When we came to government, RADA had only 7 operational tractors. Since 2018, we have purchased 11 tractors and 5 backhoes. We are getting 6 new tractors in 2025. 2 have already arrived in May, and the 4 are coming in July. This will bring our tractor fleet to 22, which is more than triple what we found when we took office.
The minister also says he's taking an holistic approach in efforts to modernize the sector and boost food production. We will have more on the minister's plans during our news at 7. As the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF, continues to up its efforts to foster better community relationships, our reporter Adrian Williams tells us more about an initiative in St. Mary.
The St. Mary Police have stepped up its efforts to maintain peace, not this time with curfews and raids, but through community policing. Justice of the Peace Garfield Robinson and Complex Manager for Eden Park Sports Complex, David Edwards, lauded the move.
We are proud and we are happy. You know, you get into the young kids, the youths, you know, to get them around and get them to participate in these things. They feel more happy and more comfortable knowing that they can be friends with the officer. And that's the thing that I like about that.
It also helps to build a better relationship in terms of
the youngsters having a focus, knowing that the officer is not really your enemy.
The sporting competitions were aimed at increasing collaboration and engagement between police and the community, something Melissa Bogle from the Buff Bay United Sports Club sees as an effective method to bridge the gap.
We want to build that relationship, close the gap between us civilians, players, the club, between us and the police, so that, you know, our community can be safer, or whole country can be safer. Because I believe if the police and the community work together, we will get better results.
Adding to the effectiveness of the parish's policing, commanding officer for the St. Mary Division, Acting Superintendent Anthony Wallace, handed over 3 new vehicles to aid in better serving the community. Adrian Williams reporting for CVM News.
The Bank of Jamaica, the BOJ, has reduced short-term borrowing rates for commercial banks by 25 basis points from 6.0% to 5.75%, hoping other banks will follow suit. However, since commercial banks have yet to lower their rates, stakeholders like Small Business Association President Garnet Reid is urging action, emphasizing the benefits for small businesses.
They call upon the banks to reduce their interest rate. To date, the bank have yet to do that. I have met with the banks. I have met with JMMB, NCB, BNS. And while they express a willingness to reduce the interest rate, it has yet to come. Interest rate is now 18 to 19%. When you reduce interest rate, what will happen is that more business people, SME, will borrow more money, so you'll get more interest.
Yeah.
They will have the opportunity to pay their credit card, their mortgages, and their loans as well. When you hold on the interest rate, by not reducing the interest rate, you make life difficult for the struggling SME to continue to pay their bills and so on and so forth.
Well, CEO of the Jamaica Bankers Association, Barbara Hume, says that's not true, as some banks have already started lowering their interest rates.
Let me just start by correcting that incorrect statement. Our banks have in fact started to make reductions to their interest rates. Those reductions may not have been broadly publicized across the board, but our various member institutions have in fact started to reduce their interest rates. And I think Garnet mentioned 3 institutions that he would have spoken to. I can tell you that the head of at least one of those institutions would have shared with me today that his institution has in fact started to lower their rates. So I'm not sure who you would have spoken with, Garnet. It's not an across-the-board reduction, as we're saying, because remember, pricing is a function of risk. So our banks would be looking at particular segments where they feel ready and comfortable and justified in making these reductions. I should also remind Garnet and the public at large that many of our member institutions in the JBA, many of our member banks, do in fact have dedicated pools of funds at attractive rates of interest that are available to our small and medium enterprises and to businesses that are engaged in the productive sector.
Now, as farming continues to evolve into a viable career path, so is the Jamaica 4-H Foundation strengthening its push to get more young people into the field. PR and marketing manager Javon Bailey says the upcoming Youth in Agriculture Symposium will focus on climate-smart practices and empower students beyond just crop cultivation.
So the project is increasing the climate resilience of youth farmers or fisher folk through sustainable agricultural practices and also technology. So they're going to learn about the mulching. So if you drive along the highway, some of the time you see that white tarp-looking thing over the soil and you say, what is that over the plants? That is really created to hold down the moisture because climate change and the sun is so hot, the evaporation, it reaches that plastic and then the soil retains that moisture. So they'll be learning about those practices. The symposium itself is all about giving them the knowledge, giving them the mindset, having them network with other young people, share their inspiration to have a cultivation of the new face of food in agriculture.
Now, beyond hands-on training and networking, Bailey says participants will also receive long-term support to build successful careers in agriculture.
So we have a 4-H club in every parish. Wow. So that parish manager continues to go to the schools, continues to interact with these youth farmers and provide that support. As an agency, we may not have all the support, so we reach out to our RADA, our Agri Investment Corporation, if these young people need land access. There's a lot of agri-parks coming on stream. We create that connection for them, and upwards of 25% of our agricultural lands are slated for youth. So we do that collaboration to ensure that they get that access, and our parish managers are at the forefront to ensure that we continue to monitor them, we continue to ensure that they're still in agriculture, and we have a mentorship program coming on stream to, to further that support that we're providing for them.
Mm-hmm. To this CVM News update now, a decomposing body believed to be that of 8-year-old Navardo Blackburn was found in an abandoned car along Melvin Avenue in Gregory Park, St. Catherine on Tuesday afternoon. According to police reports, the autistic child who went missing over the weekend was last seen playing at a nearby playfield around 4:30 p.m. on Saturday. He was later reported missing. Now, while investigators work to piece together what happened, there are growing suspicions of foul play in the boy's death. CVM News will continue to monitor that story. We invite you to stay with us. We'll be right back with lots more.
Brand new 2025 Hyundai Tucson. Second prize, a mega shopping spree. Third prize, 30,000 monthly shopping spree. Okay, break it down for them.
Spend $6,500 or more before GCT. Fill out the entry form on your receipt. Drop it in the box. That's it.
Authorized under Section 52. Every day starts with care. Care that's always close. Supermed Family of Pharmacies is where you go for everything you need. From your morning routine to life's biggest moments. Supermed Family of Pharmacies is always by your side. Whether it's prescriptions or household essentials, trust the care that's close to home. Super happy, super healthy, Supermed.
Hey you know all the people in your business?
You should take advantage of CVM TV's unbeatable small business advertising package. Trust me.
And get your goods and services in front of your customers today.
For $150,000, you get a high-quality professional commercial.
Plus 20 primetime commercial spots.
That's massive exposure at a fraction of the cost.
Including on the #1 morning show in Jamaica, Sunrise.
So don't wait. Call us on 658-208-5377 and see your business goals happen right here on CVM Television.
Welcome back. So glad you stayed with us, because with major infrastructure and construction works taking place in every parish across the island, from the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project and the Major Infrastructure Development Program to construction works on the Caymanas Special Economic Zone, as well as thousands of additional housing starts, the momentum being witnessed in Jamaica's construction sector seems to be undeniable. However, uncomfortable questions still linger about the degree of participation of local enterprises. And so to discuss whether those concerns rest on solid foundations, we're joined by former president of the Incorporated Master Builders Association of Jamaica, the IMAJ, Carville Stewart. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Stewart. Thanks as usual for making
Good
yourself
afternoon.
available to
Good
us.
afternoon. Good afternoon to your listeners or your viewers. Good afternoon to your viewers.
Great. Sir, was there a magic wand, or have you ever observed this many major projects being undertaken simultaneously right here in Jamaica before?
No, I can't recall a period in which all of those things that you outlined were ongoing simultaneously. But we have had periods when there were significant development works taking place, not just in Kingston and St. Andrew, but throughout the island, particularly on the north coast. Quite a number of hotel properties were being built at the same time. Mm-hmm.
In your estimation, sir, what accounts for all of this?
You mean at this time?
Yes, in general.
I know government is very involved in a lot of it. And then there are a number of private sector entities who have also participated in a number of the developments, certainly housing and some commercial buildings.
We're going to take a short break, but I want you to mull over the questions. Were local contractors prepared to meet the demand? We'll come back and discuss that in a moment.
The Time is brought to you by Ford Territory.
Welcome back. We're discussing whether concerns rest on solid foundation as it pertains to what's happening in the construction sector. And we have Carvel Stewart online. Yes, so we went out with, I wanted to find out from you, do you honestly think our local contractors were prepared to meet the demand?
You know, in our history, we've always done that. I accept that there's more activities now. But because there has been such a tremendous absence of the local contractors, it is, I would not venture to say we would not have been able to prepare for it. Because among the things that has happened with the absence of local participation, we have had significant migration from the industry of skills at all levels, from the managerial, engineering, technical, and trade skills they have done elsewhere because we weren't given access to the bulk of what was happening.
For those who stay then, are the Jamaican contractors being given the opportunity to thrive and grow, you think, as a result of this current condition?
No, we have not been. We've been denied access intentionally in a number of cases, especially in the infrastructure areas. We have had a situation where contracts have been simply handed over to, and let's be specific, to Chinese contractors, China Harbour in particular, and largely on the premise that they will then subcontract work to locals. But the truth is, when you are not the head of the stream, as it were, then you're looking for trickling down in different ways, which may not assist in the further development of the local industry, because you're not tasked with the major contractual responsibilities.
So here we have the overseas players then. Did that force our local contractors to adapt to their arrival?
Well, I'm sure a lot of adaptation has taken place, because as you know, none of the works being done by and I go back to China Harbour in particular, has been done solely by China Harbour. They have engaged local capacity, and the people who have gone there have held their own and have participated. The absence of the leadership from the local community will mean that whenever in the future there's the absence of the overseas contingent, we may find ourselves a little bit lacking initially. And that happened to us certainly in the 70s when the major non-residential contractors, who were mainly British at the time, departed and left it to us Jamaicans to take it on. And we did so. We did everything up until the arrival of firstly the Spanish-speaking entities and then the Chinese.
So in this world of, this competition, everybody wants to survive. It's all about survival. Do you think it wise, therefore, for local contractors, they're forced to compete with overseas entities that have access to far greater resources? How does one strike the balance, the right balance, that is?
There is no balance in the equation that we face, because the Chinese contractors are all owned by the Chinese government and therefore can be made available at significant discounts to the local, both private and public sector entities that engage there. And so the local contractors